Hey everyone, Greg here,
And Chris.
and we are Shadowsabound, and we are bringing up some information coming up in October. We have been invited to the Richmond Nightmare Weekend, which is going to be at the Richmond Greater Convention Center. That is October 13th.
14th, 15th.
14th, 15th. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We will be doing our show
Saturday the 14th,
yes,
2 p.m.
and then Sunday
3 p.m. Sunday is the 15th. Because Friday is Friday the 13th, October.
Hey. So we don't know exactly where we're going to be at just yet. But we found out the time frames and everything already, so we get to do 2 different episodes live. So we'll be doing what we do here, but there in front of an audience. So hopefully it's a big turnout for other people, of course. So that way we can maybe get some new subscribers and followers and network with some people and meet some really cool, interesting people like us.
Get our name out there.
Yeah. But also just we want to meet and greet with people too. So
yeah, I mean, there's going to be stars and stuff there too. So like, if we weren't going to do the thing for Shadows Abound, we're like, oh hey, Danny Trejo, the guys that played the kids in E.T., the original actor from the original Candyman movie series,
Tony Todd.
Yeah.
So we would want to go anyway if we didn't get invited, but we were blessed enough to get invited to come out. So yeah, Tony Todd, Candyman's gonna be there. Warwick Davis from Leprechaun and a million other movies. Bunch of people like Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws, like you said, Danny Trejo, who I want to meet the most. I think that'd be the one celebrity I would want to like shake hands with and just say hey to, because he's an awesome guy in real life and as a movie actor too. So
Yeah.
and everybody knows who he is. But we're going to be doing two different episodes. One on Saturday, like he said, and then the other one on Sunday. We're going to bring up a couple different topics. We've been kind of talking about what we're going to do. And we wanted to do something that we haven't really talked about on the channel there, so it was a little bit different. The first one, we've been talking about it for a little while. We wanted to do kind of how to get into the paranormal investigating, how to start from just you going out there by yourself to going out there with a group, or doing kind of how we did with YouTube, just where to start from, what kind of equipment you might need, what kind of equipment you might need at all, because it is an expensive hobby.
It can get daunting, overwhelming too, because you want to we're basically trying to say, hey, how to make your first step, where to make the first step. Mm-hmm. What are your first 3 things that you need that are basic that'll get you going right away?
Yeah, and we thought it'd be cool to meet new people, especially it being live, which we've never done any kind of live recording. We're always here in the studio type thing, so we don't get to have that interaction, which is going to be a little nerve-wracking, but also it's going to be a great time.
I'm going to be praying I don't freeze and take the first step up on the stairs or stage and totally fall out.
Oh no, I think the biggest thing would be hopefully we don't fart, on the microphone, because here we can edit that out, but definitely can't do that live.
And we're both nervous Nellies, and we both have flatulence problems.
Nervous gas.
Well, and if it's not farting, it's burping. So
one way or another. No, it's gonna be fine. I'm definitely excited just because of all the people we get to meet, and it's gonna be, like I said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's gonna be long hours. I think they have even after hours stuff. So it goes, I think. I can't remember the exact time frame, but I think it starts at 10 on Friday in the morning or something like that. And then it goes all the way to 2 in the morning.
Yeah, and then Saturday is midnight or 1, and then Sundays, the earliest Sunday is 11 or midnight.
No, I think they ended at 7 or 8, something like that. But either or. It's going to be a long time that you get to hang out with people and stuff like that. So we thought that it would be cool too to bring some of our equipment that we use, especially in the show, and we brought a couple pieces too to kind of give you an idea of what we'd be bringing. So for us in the show, a lot we use, of course, things like REM pods. We have our spirit box. We use EMF detectors. We use dowsing rods.
Digital voice recorder for the EVPs most of the time.
And then of course the cameras. But we use a bunch of different stuff, but you don't have to have all that to get started.
No.
So we thought it'd be cool to kind of show off what we started with And you can ask him. I was very frantic every time we would go to do a new investigation. I was like, we have to have a new piece of equipment. Or we'd watch, Ghost Adventures or Paranormal State or, just any kind of show that we were into. And you see all the cool gadgets they have. And we're like, man, I really want that. And,
yeah, I mean, the top 7 YouTubers that do paranormal hunting has 2 of those 3 devices we have on the table here with us. So
yeah. Well, they also have like the, what's that, like $2,000 radio?
Yeah, I forget the name of it. It's the Geoport or Geopod.
Yeah,
and it looks like an old timey 50s radio, but with all of the 3 to 5 glass tubes for the tuning for AM, FM, and then megahertz bands. So it's like ham radio as well that it'll do.
Yeah,
it's like $300, $200 just for how it looks, and another $100 for all that tech.
I've seen them go up to like $2,000 though.
Yeah, I mean, I know
nuts.
the $4,000 and $5,000 one was on Ghost Adventures show before, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I looked into recent because we kept seeing it, and I was like, I really want one, just because with the spirit box, as much as I love it, editing that sometimes can get in the way, and I feel like a lot of people get annoyed with it, but it's kind of a necessity.
In the Geo box, like
you don't have any of that.
It sounds really clear. Most of the time, it sounds like whatever voice they may get, that comes in clear. A lot of them have a recording device built in.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have your things separately.
I mean, it's always good to have like different recording styles or different equipment and stuff like that. So that's why we always have like different cameras on us, because you never know, you could be facing this way and something happens this way. So
yeah. I mean, like on Nick Groff's Deathwalker show, he's got the $2,000 one, and that one you can set it to where both radio bands are being transmitted at once.
Yeah. And
then Zach Bagans is the one that's like on rollers, and it's the old timey stand up radio from the 40s. So his is like $5,000-$6,000.
Yeah, no, we don't have the money for that just yet.
No.
But a couple of the equipment pieces that you could gain that are probably the more cheaper route. The Spirit Box, I think we got ours for, I want to say under $150. I don't remember exactly how much we spent on it, but it is the one we use in our show. We got it from Go Stop. I don't know if you can really see it on camera. They call it the S Box, short Spirit Box. But this is the one that we use, which we've talked about getting different ones, but as far as money goes, it's easier just to deal with what we have.
I mean, that's the one that a lot of the YouTubers have. Yeah. They're using it.
So, but this is, it's great quality for what we use. And like I said, we do have a review on our channel of this, and I go through how to use it and how to work it. So if you want to see that kind of more in depth, I'll put that in the details down below. But this is an awesome piece to have just to kind of start out, because you can communicate, you can ask questions. We've gotten a lot of answers. And I've talked to a few friends of mine and stuff, and they were like, how do you know it's not pre-recorded, or how do you know it's not fake and stuff like that. And when you hear things like your first and last name come out, and my last name's Trail, and that is not a very common name, and his is Timmons, which is not a very common name. When you hear stuff like that coming out of there, it's kind of like nobody would have gone through the trouble to record a name that nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, that, and you can get used to your device with this device, whether it's turned all the way up. We like to put it at half most of the time. You can clearly hear what it sounds like between each radio station. You can control how fast or how slow the changing between each channel goes. Things like that you can tell when it's a real voice and not the recorded or whatever's on the station. So
some things have manipulated to where it is like a voice from the radio, if you will.
Right.
But
they're still using it to say what they want to say is the thing.
Like if you have like 5 or 6 words come out, you really definitely have a presence. If you have, because it's very quick how it changes. So
yeah. Then 9 times out of 10, if there's more than 6 or 7 words and a couple of the words have more than one syllable, granted, it's 2 or 3 different voices trying to come into. It's not mostly just one trying to say a huge sentence to you. They, like the phrase "keep it simple, stupid." They tend to do that a lot.
Yeah,
which means we should try to do that a lot too with our things. Yeah. So like a lot of times, you can go out and find from Goodwill or whatever or a thrift store the $40 or $50 AM/FM portable radio, and you can control how fast it's going by scrolling up and down on the tuning dial. And what makes it old-fashioned and cheap is it uses D-cell batteries to function. Or the old-fashioned way, like the ghost hunting TV shows, a lot of them started out with just the digital voice recorder. They've already used their other pieces of tech to prove they have this said hotspot over here. They go to the hotspot with the digital voice recorder, and they take 5 minutes out and ask their questions.
That's true. And then also, you can always go cheaper ways too, which, and we don't want to say everything here because we are going to, try and do our own little episode live. But a couple of the small things, which I didn't bring one with me, but a mag light. So you can do questions with a mag light, and you can find them anywhere from, $5 up to $30 for like the more expensive ones. But it's still a cheap, piece of equipment to kind of go out there and investigate. They say there's different methods on it, but if you kind of turn it a little loosely, and you have it right where it can switch on and off just by a hair touch, you can ask questions, you get answers from that. So it's a mag light method. And then also a little bit more expensive, but depending on where you go. So I've got 2 REM pods with us. So this is the first one that we picked up. This is, again, also off of Ghost Stop. I don't remember if it was 100 or 200, but it is within that price range. But this is something we use a lot on our investigations. So anything that goes through the antenna electromagnetically, or however you want to say it, basically goes off. Also has different like temperature gauges on it kind of thing too. So if the temperature changes, then it'll go off as well. Which is a cool piece. So this one was anywhere from 100 to 200. And then this is actually made by, I can't remember the name of the company. But this is the Spectre detector is what they did. But and it'll go off when I pull it up. But it's a kind of an old school lantern that they made that has antennas that pop up. And if it comes to contact, it goes off. I wish I remember the name of the company. We met them at Paracon.
Yep, in January.
Yep.
At Hanover Tavern.
Uh-huh. And
so those are the handles for the lantern, and he was able to put an extra circuit board where the LED light goes.
Yep.
So it's touch sensitive, and it functions like the REM pod. And the only part that doesn't function the same is the bulb at the bottom. It doesn't work like a normal flashlight, but it does have flashing lights. The colors will change depending on how the thing is supposed to be touching the sensors.
It does use a 9V battery,
9-volt,
but this was $50. So you can get something like this homemade usually, and it'll be a little bit cheaper than more of an official one, but it still works, decently well. I just like how it has the antennas, kind of a longer range, I guess you could say. But we having 2 of these, we put them in different areas of wherever we're investigating at. So, you can start off something very small and simple like that. We're going to go more in depth on that kind of stuff while we're there at the convention. So that's just kind of, I'm going to give a small taste. So at the whole first show, Saturday, we're going to be talking about how to get into the world of paranormal investigating, kind of where we got started, and the route you could take to just kind of get out there and go for it. Anything from you wanting to personally do it like we did for such a long time, just, 2 friends going out there and kind of discovering abandoned areas and different places just to have a fun time, bring other people with us, get them scared, stuff like that, to the YouTube stage of it all, or TikTok or whatever social media platform you want to use. We use YouTube. We like that the best. But, getting set up with the camera equipment, getting set up with the different pieces of equipment to go out there and do kind of a bigger investigation and film it all. We're going to go through all that stuff. Sunday at 3, we are going to be doing Virginia cryptids. So Virginia, from it's where we're from.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about different cryptids, lore that we've learned of so far, stuff that entices us, stuff that's exciting. And then kind of some of the places to go investigate, places that we've been so far. We'll talk a little bit about places that we would love to go, and then places that we've heard of and don't know much about. We're still going to kind of bring a whole bunch of different stuff out there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun to talk about. So and we're going to do a Q&A on the first show and probably try to do a Q&A on the second one. So if anybody has any questions, we don't mind teaching or kind of informing different answers for questions, because it's a small knit community, and everybody is always going to have questions, and hey, how does this work? So it's cool to be able to talk to others and teach them and stuff. So,
definitely.
Yeah. Also, we wanted to bring to the podcast today, you wanted to bring up some different stuff.
Yeah, I guess two of my favorite phenomenon, or more of the two top interesting phenomenon, would probably be the connection between alien abduction and sleep paralysis.
Okay.
And then the phenomenon behind Bigfoot and his connection, or its connection, with portals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, there is some stuff with Bigfoot and Virginia, but as far as portals, you're gonna have to teach us on that one, because I don't know anything about that one.
So portals is like a new thing that's been coming out the last 5 or 6 years, but portals are also kind of related to cold spots and hot spots. It's kind of like how they're saying energy or spirits or whatever you want to call them, because for me it's more like titles of all the same thing. But it would be, 1, how they travel, 2, how they get their energy, so they can just appear somewhere, disappear, or go wherever they go, and then show up at another location somewhere else.
Now, do they pop up like,
No.
They go through that might be why they do that. Go through the portal and
So it was like, that was like a symbol. That was a symbol. That was a symbol someone created for like a crossing sign for where someone might track Bigfoot on what they call the paranormal highway. And it started after that famous video from the 60s where it's like a 30-second video, and it's crossing a riverbed when it was on low tide. And they paused the video in the middle of it, making a second step over a tree branch and looking back at the camera perfectly. And a lot of people tried to debunk it, and a lot of people didn't debunk it. People were trying to say it was like purposeful in the video. And the fact that it's paused right there at the last like 13 seconds of the 30-second video that it is. First off, why is it so short? Second of all, it's grainy. Someone tries to like pick apart the layers, like a professional video editor. They can't pick away at some of the layers. It almost looks like someone deliberately put that old-fashioned, like when you see the bars from white and gray to get the color in the video, because it's working off of the 8mm reel, so like an old-timey camera. So
that's kind of scary, though. I mean, can you imagine, like, not to cut you off, but can you imagine, like, camping in the woods with some friends or, like, your family or whatever, and then you're like, man, I got to take a crap. And then you're sitting there taking a crap behind a tree or, something, and all of a sudden he just pops through a portal, and you're like, oh, crap.
So that's another thing, right? So, like, there's different spots people, like, see it or have their witness of it. And the area that they call the North Pacific area, which is Northern California, Oregon, Washington State, Idaho, and then Alaska.
Alaska, I definitely believe there's some kind of Bigfoot.
That's the one where people feel a presence. They hear that famous recorded noise of where they're 30 to 100 miles away to your left or to your right, and you hear the oh. It almost sounds like a groaning man, but then when someone picks apart the recording, they can tell you it's not a human being, because they'll play it back against another human being. But people always hear the recording. They always hear the 3 taps on the tree, which the creature that Bigfoot is supposed to be, you would have to be a big baseball player, almost a big man, 5'11" or taller, like your size, with the Louisville Slugger baseball bat made out of mahogany hardwood, and he's wailing on a tree.
It's a very detailed imagery you're putting out there.
Well, I saw earlier today and yesterday, I've been watching a lot of videos about it. And there's like the Missing 411 documentary is one of them, and they talk about how
Missing Bigfoot.
No, the people
Where has it gone?
So a phenomenon of
man keeps hitting them damn portals.
That's the amount of people. That's the amount of people every year since 2012 or 2013 that go missing every year between Alaska and Idaho, specifically in the national parks. So every year, 411 people go missing.
At random or just
random?
They think it's with Bigfoot.
And they're trying to connect it to, could it be Bigfoot?
Is he stashing people in portals? And he has like a warehouse somewhere?
The theory is if there's 10 people that report a sighting or a sensation while camping, let's say, 6 of that 10 people will say, oh, he's here to check on me, and I left an offering of our leftover fruit by the tree where we thought we felt him. And that's the positive one. And then the last group of people go, he's evil. I heard that groaning. He tried to knock our tent over. Something was smacking the outside of our tent when we were sleeping.
That's another thing. Is Bigfoot a vegetarian? Does he just eat plants and veggies, or is he a cannibal?
Well, so the other theory is he's some link between human being and Neanderthal. So he's like a giant ape. And the apes that we're used to in captivity only eat fruits and vegetables. They're herbivores, basically. So,
I mean, I've heard there's Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti. Like, there's so many different versions of him in different areas.
Swamp ape.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Abominable snowman.
Yeah.
Then there's some Native American words. I forgot how to say some of them. There's only 2 groupings of Native Americans that especially are related to some of the Native Americans in Virginia here, where we're from, that have negative connotations. The rest of them are positive.
I feel like my dad would kill me if I said I didn't believe in Bigfoot, because he's a very big believer of Bigfoot.
I'm a little bit more than I used to. So
he jokes with my kids a lot and does the sounds and all that kind of stuff. So I do believe there's a version of Bigfoot out there. I don't know which one. I mean, definitely there's been videos online of different things that you see and you're like, that looks a little strange. And then there's a lot of fake stuff. So it's kind of hard to tell what is real and what is not when you come upon a phenomenon like that.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there is creatures out there that are kind of like a Bigfoot or is Bigfoot out there. We don't know for sure.
Right.
And I'm not going to go out there and camp in, Yellowstone Park for a week to try and figure that out. So.
Well, I mean, if I had the money to travel and camp like I would love, I would do that. I'm that type of person. I do the same thing when we're on a ghost hunt. If I hear that weird noise or I'm experiencing something, I go towards it. I'm not running away from it.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the middle of, I don't know, you're in the woods, it's 1 a.m., obviously you're up to pee, and you're going to check on the tent. You have your wife or your kids with you, and you're making sure they're sleeping, and you have that experience. The first thing most people say is they hear that, whoa, off in the distance that it makes. So if I hear that, I'm going to be like, hey, it's okay, guys, but I'm going this way where that noise is from. I'm going to figure it out. See you guys later. Be safe,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have, I don't know, I had to have my own bathroom, so camping out in the woods, I wouldn't feel too...
I mean, it's understandable for number 1. Number 2 is a whole different story. How you want to deal with that.
That's why I was joking about the whole Bigfoot thing.
You got the bucket and the sawdust, and you get free sawdust from Home Depot, and the bucket from Home Depot is $2. Yeah. Or you dig your hole, and you got your toilet paper and all that jazz.
Yeah.
There's also, like, the mobile porta potties that look like, your foldable chair surface. You can put it on a chair. Those are cheap.
Yeah.
You have the mobile home one that's on wheels. You can roll it out like the handicap assisted chair. So there's options to poop out there.
Yeah. Then you gotta deal with the bugs and if it's the summertime, the scorching humidity and heat and all that stuff. So I don't know.
I mean, you got battery powered fans that spray water.
You got accessories for everything.
Yeah. I mean, you got a body tent that can zip around you while you're in your sleeping bag, and it goes over you inside of a tent. So
just
they have
sleep
options.
in an ice bath.
Spray.
And you're good to go.
Bugs,
no bugs, no nothing. So you were also speaking upon, what'd you say, alien abductions?
Alien abductions and the connection to sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. So let's talk about that one, because I do have sleep paralysis sometimes. I haven't had it in a while, but I know different people deal with it in different versions. From what I understand with sleep paralysis, basically people wake up in a state to where their mind is active, their eyes are open, but they are paralyzed. They can't move. And some people see different people. They see shadows. They see demons. They see a whole bunch of different stuff. Now, I wish I knew the guy's name. I can't remember, but this guy used to have sleep paralysis every night. He was an artist, and he would basically recreate
whatever he experienced,
imagery and what he experienced. So, like, there was one where he was in the ocean, basically in his bed, and the bed was kind of going in, and he was kind of drowning, and he had set it up like a stage to where his mattress was like this, and the box spring was over here, and the bed frame was kind of like distorted, and he was on it, and he was taking pictures of himself like drowning, basically.
Yeah.
So he would redo his imagery from sleep paralysis, and it made really cool art. And I think he's been pretty famous for that. But for me, anytime I've had it, you hear, or at least what I heard was things talking to me. I felt pressure on my chest. I've seen things staring at me. Never seen the man in the top hat or the English woman with a little child. I've never seen any of those.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always been a demonic presence trying to hold me down, hand on my wrist type thing. And that's what I've dealt with.
And you knew it was demonic because you had the bad goosebumps and stuff?
Basically, any word that I tried to speak out, and now this goes back to when I was 6, I would have it. And throughout the years, it would come and go. But more of the recent stuff, I haven't had it probably, I want to say in about a good year or so. But anytime you go to speak, you can't talk.
So you still had it up until a year ago?
Yeah, and then you say, I would say Jesus, or I would try and pray.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start saying Jesus or those kind of words,
it stops or goes away.
You're able to talk, and it goes away.
There's two things. There's the spiritual sleep paralysis, where it's obviously you're having the bad goosebumps and you feel the demonic presence. And then there's legitimate people who suffer from a chemical imbalance in the brain, where sleep paralysis is the brain activating a wake-sleep sequence to get you out of your REM sleep. And like the artist you were talking about, where he's kind of stuck in half and half, where you see his bed and the bed in the dream, and it's kind of in the water, and he's half drowning, and he's half not drowning.
Yeah.
So that would be the differences of his body trying to wake while it's being stuck in REM. And then there's your experience that you're talking about. You clearly had the goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly were feeling them, and or you saw whatever it was, either laying hands on your chest, pushing down on your chest, or sometimes for me it was sitting on my chest.
I think.
But then you're saying Jesus or in Jesus' name, or you pray to yourself in your head. When I was like really young, because for me it started when I was 4, I would just like instantly want to call out to my dad, because at the time I knew my dad was always praying, always had the Bible with him. So I'd be like, Dad, and by the 3rd or 4th time, after you not be able to say much but duh, 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 I could get, Dad. Sure enough, boom, he'd be there. And then when I was older, it was, in Jesus' name. I would try to repeat it to myself, or like, I forget what, I had like my 2 favorite Psalms scriptures from the Bible I'd memorized to be able to say to myself. And those are the clear indications, the difference between you legitimately being stuck in a dream, your brain's not waking you up out of REM, and there's something in the room, or there's a demonic presence with you.
Well, I think, so there's a lot of phenomenon out there. I think a lot of it is demonic, but a lot of it also is not, which I don't know what the other side of it would be. But sleep paralysis for me is definitely more of a demonic presence. Anytime I've gone through it, like I said, it started out when I was like 6 years old, kind of like how with you being young.
Yeah.
And I'm 32 now, so
yeah, he's 32.
like
I'm 38.
31. It kind of stopped, but it was always kind of coming and going as an adult. But
yeah, that's weird. Like, so for me, mine stopped right when I'm like the week of my 13th birthday.
The odd number.
But then other stuff, like stuff that we've talked in other episodes about, like our gifts that we have. My thing that I have, like, intensified after that.
Well, I think I'd say probably one of the I guess I mean, it was kind of scary at the time, but nerve-wracking memories of it is I woke up to something screaming really loud in my ear, almost like if I was dead asleep and you walked into my room and leaned over and was like like just loud as crap in my ear. Like, that's what happened to me, but it was a demonic voice, and it screamed at the top of its lungs. It felt like, and I heard like, I don't even know if it was a word. It was just a scream. Yeah,
full on scream.
And it was weird because it woke me out of my sleep. And when it woke me out of my sleep, I went to go jump, and I literally could not move. And I felt a hand on my wrist, and I mean, it was burning hot.
Yeah, it was holding you. Yeah.
And I couldn't move, and I could feel it, and I could see it standing right next to my bed, and I couldn't move, couldn't talk, nothing, and I kind of wrestled with it, and I was a little nervous, and kind of like saying Jesus' name.
Yeah.
You remember that after a while, and you're like, all right, which I don't pray as much as I used to, but in those times, that's when I do pray.
And 9 times out of 10, that's the key, right? That works.
Yeah. So
the thing is barely 30 seconds. And the experience,
feels like
whatever
forever,
it is, goes away.
It feels like it's forever, though.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Feels like you'll never get out of it. It feels like you're stuck. Feels like no one will help you.
Like when you're feeling like you can't move and you're being frozen almost, it feels like time is in slow mode.
Yeah. So it's definitely a very scary time.
But they also say, too, it takes conversations like this. So, like, we're two people that have experienced the demonic side.
Yeah.
They say with the phenomenon and, the scientists working with sleep studies and stuff, 1 out of 10 people are the ones that have that legitimate, they're missing a chemical that helps the brain activate the wake sequence.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I mean, like I said, I've heard stories of people seeing the man in the top hat, or Victorian ladies, or you see a child spirit, stuff like that, which, again, as we believe, child spirits are just demonic presences trying to gain your trust or whatever else.
Yeah.
So, again, I go back to sleep paralysis as a demonic thing.
Yeah.
Never once have I had sleep paralysis and someone was telling me a dad joke. Or, an angel trying to tell me everything was going to go, okay in my life. Or or someone petting my beard or something. It's always been
very negative.
Can't breathe, very negative. Someone screaming, whispering in my ear. So it's definitely a touchy subject, I feel like. But it is something to talk about because a lot of people...
they
might be experiencing it and don't know much about it. Everybody has a different experience.
I mean, chime in when this video is ended.
Yeah, definitely comment.
And we have the comments, we're not trying to say one is better than the other one. So
there's no comparison.
If you're not having the demonic version, you're one of the ones that may or may not know that you have that chemical imbalance. Chime in. We're not trying to pick on anybody. We're not trying to specifically say that it's one's the right one and one's the wrong one.
Yeah, so. It's just a phenomenon, he wanted to bring up, and I think that it's an interesting one because, like we were talking about, everybody has different versions of it. Everybody sees different things. I've never had the same experience since being a kid to an adult.
Yeah.
And that's like almost 30 years of having it, and I've never had the same. The only thing that has been the same has all been negative experiences. I've never had a positive one. That for a while it was hard for me to go to sleep because I was like, I'm going to have sleep paralysis and I don't want to experience it. So I'd stay awake and watch movies and be 5 a.m. if I pass out.
Which probably is, why you're a night owl now.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that goes to it. So, but definitely comment down below if you're going through it or if you had an experience or if you have questions about it. We always try and comment on our videos and talk with people that are our viewers and stuff like that.
We don't have all the answers, but nope. I mean,
not even close.
we can help you find them.
Yeah. Right? It's good to chat with others, and that's what I'm so excited about Richmond Nightmare Weekend, is that we get to be around other like-minded people and kind of pick their brains, and they might want to pick our brains, and it'd be cool to meet people.
Yeah.
But yeah, sleep paralysis is definitely a crazy phenomenon that has a lot detailed, and if you want, we can do an episode just all about that.
Yeah, they'll chime in, let us know about that.
Yeah, but alien abductions is the other one I think you were talking about.
So,
what's your take on that?
They've crossed the paths with both of the sleep paralysis experience and an alien abduction. Someone feels a presence at the end of their bed, and or they feel their hands that are hot or warm on their ankle or on the tops of their feet, holding their legs down, or all the way you could feel their forearms and elbows down on their shins, and the hot, warm hands are on their knees, and they cannot move. And someone's like, well, I woke up.
They feel like they're getting abducted?
I'm in the middle of waking up. I can barely speak, and I see what looks like an alien presence. I can just barely make out the face and or the eyes. And then they give you the generalized description where they see the pale gray skin, the large black almond-shaped eyes. It's a short, skinny imp with a big head and skinny, small body. And or sometimes it's trying to communicate to me in my mind. So I'm trying to pray, and the prayer's not working, and I hear these weird like words or eek eek noises, but it's in my head. But when you cross that with someone's sleep paralysis or a demonic presence, that beginning sequence where they feel it touching them and why they can't move and what they're trying to say or can't say, but with the demon at the end of the bed. And the cross overlay is the fact that the theory is the alien can or cannot be a demon as well. And it's not a extraterrestrial, it's an interdimensional being, which means the other realm, the spirit realm, or another parallel universe, all those theories, is where it's coming from.
See, for me, there's different thoughts I have on aliens. And as much as I am a sci-fi fan, I would love to believe there are different species out there, or other intellectual beings or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Do I believe that Paul is running around, Simon Pegg movie, or it's Green Aliens or Mars Attacks? I don't believe in those. I definitely do believe that there are higher beings that we don't know about out there. I mean, everything that we've discovered in our lifetime only suggests that there's 50 million other things that we don't know about. So, I mean, you look up in the sky some nights and you've seen things that you can't explain. And, it's always, hey, that's the government. Or it could be extraterrestrial, thing flying around, or UFO, and you're lucky enough to see it for that millisecond. But there is a lot of evidence out there, too, of things kind of floating around the universe.
Right.
Now, some of the stories we hear are completely comical. UFO flew out of nowhere and impregnated my cow, and Betsy's my best cow, and the next thing you know, it picked me up and tried to impregnate me and then kicked me out the UFO, and I landed on Route 66 and I don't know where I'm at, and it took me 3 years to get home, and
or they have a full
now I've got a 50-year-old sitting on my couch. It's my son. You're like, what?
They have a full account of, they see a ray of light right after feeling the creature holding their legs down on the bed. The ray of light shines over them. The creature has already exited the bedroom or the room that it was in where they're at, into that said flying device, or now they call it UAP, unidentified flying phenomenon. And in the ray of light, they're being perfectly floated out of their bed, out of that room, into that flying device, into a holding cell or a room with a bright light, still unable to move. Bright light, very similar to the one they hold over you at a dentist's office or in the ER for surgery. They can barely see their body, so from like the face down to the chest. And the light that's over them is like the light that just floated them out of the room into the flying device. The light's still allowing them not to be able to move. And then they recount, having something come down to their face, making surgery or implanting them with a device. And they're recounting the whole thing, and or they're drawing it, coloring it. Then there's the phenomenon where like 9 out of 10 people have to be what do they call it? Hypnosis. And they do regression memory theory. And the only time they'll talk about being abducted is in the hypnosis. Yeah. But then when their hypnosis is done, they have no memory of what happened.
I always laugh at the stuff online where it's like people get abducted, and then most aliens are used to the humans being like and like scared and about to crap themselves. But it's always the one human that's up there like eating their snacks and like dancing, listening to their music, and like trying to have fun with them, and they're so confused. I always kind of laugh at that.
Well, I mean, that was the best part of the movie. Paul, right? That was played by Seth Rogen. So they gave you the generalized look of what people describe the gray aliens are supposed to be, but it's played by a goofy Jewish guy who smokes pot, and the pot makes him eat snacks and play games. Yeah, and he's an alien. That was the best part of that.
It's a good movie. Anything Simon Pegg, Nick Frost.
I mean, I don't go into a lot of my stuff because it will catch us into a long tangent, make these things super long. I'm the type of guy that gets stuck going down the rabbit hole. No. I have a whole different theory that could be like way out of the way, make me look really silly and stupid.
I'll tell you what. So if you're watching and you're like, you know what, that phenomenon's cool, I love it. Comment down below if you want us to do just a whole podcast episode on one of those phenomenon, and we will go bonkers with it. But I will give you a phenomenon that just came to my brain. Yeah. Do you think that all lightning bolts that hit the Earth, do you think that is 110% all weather, or do you think that some of it is controlled by extraterrestrials and or government?
I would go 50%, and 40% of that is our government, and that last 10% is extraterrestrials.
And when I say this, I'm picturing the movie The Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, where there's a guy in the movie who they basically go on a family adventure. They rent out a cabin for like a week or whatever, and John Candy and his family are there. Dan Aykroyd is his brother-in-law, who's like super annoying, and he tags along without telling them. But anyway, they're out in the woods, and there's this local who he got hit with lightning like 600 times. And they show it in the movie a couple times where he got hit, and he has this long white streak of hair.
Just the hair, though, nothing else.
And I just remember in the movie, he's kind of like talking to him at the bar, and he's like,
but he sometimes spazzes out like Kramer.
Yeah, he's like, "How'd you get the hair?" And he's like, "Well, I got hit with lightning." And he was like, "Lightning?" He's like, "You get struck with lightning?" He's like, 662 times. Whatever number it is. And he's like, Jesus Christ.
Gives him a stutter and stuff because he's excited.
But he's like, over 600 times he's got hit with a lightning bolt. And that just kind of, in my mind, I'm like, I wonder if that was like a little alien up there in a UFO, and he was like, that mother right there.
Just targeting him. It brings to life the alien death ray theory. Yeah.
Hits a cow,
So
whatever.
For me, like, we're doing a cross debate here. It's like Biden versus Trump, and I'm Trump.
That's a horrible entry.
It's horrible comparison. But I'd be like,
I'm just picturing Biden talking.
I would be like,
we're not political.
Keep it calm. I'm not going political.
Yeah, we're not political. We do. I will laugh at both of them. Yeah. So
two things for you to view. One is an episode of X-Files, where a famous actor, he's the guy that has to get the keys out of the dog's poop in Gone in 60 Seconds. And he's the guy in the main character of this episode of X-Files, where he got shot by lightning so many times he can create it with his body. And then
are you talking about James Cain's son, Scott Cain?
No.
In Gone in 60 Seconds?
No, he's the one with like the torn leather jacket, and he's got his hair like
the younger
slicked
dude
way
or whatever.
back. He's supposed to be related to Nicolas Cage's character, matter of fact.
Oh, that dude. I know you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He was in this episode. He's the main character.
He was in like Boiler Room and Friends.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Bunch of Ted. He was in that.
Yeah. But I want to say this episode of X-Files.
Giovanni, that's his name. Giovanni Ribisi, I think his name is.
Yeah. This episode of X-Files, I want to say, is both his one or two first acting gigs, as well as Jack Black's. Because Jack Black plays his buddy in this episode of X-Files. Matter of fact, I want to say it's like season 2, so it's early on in X-Files. But then the movie that would prove my theory differently from yours would be Gerard Butler in Geostorm.
I haven't seen it.
Nanobots and droids affecting the weather with like this AI controlled supercomputer on a satellite that's based on a real satellite that we have, including a real theory with the heat death ray that's related to what happened in Maui, Hawaii.
Well, that's kind of part of my theory too. Is like exactly, I mean,
and that's a big thing.
You see areas in the world that, yeah, heat would have something to do with starting fires and everything, but all it would take is a millisecond of a lightning bolt to hit a tree, strike it on fire, and now you have a wildfire. Or nobody would have seen it.
They find the perfect spot in the forest where it's like the driest.
Yeah.
And they know when to shoot it right when it's the windiest part of the season as well.
It's like if you're driving down the road and you hear thunder off in the distance or lightning, that's what you imagine. It's thunder and lightning over there. You're not imagining, and if you're a kid, you think it's right next to you and you're scared crapless.
Yeah.
But unless...
Or you'd be like me and you like it and you're obsessed with the noise.
Sometimes it helps people go to... Like, I love a good thunderstorm because you can sit inside, you're like, I get the day to relax, and I love the sound of the rain and everything hitting, and it's cool to look out there and everything's gray and crazy, and yeah. But anyway, there's times where you hear and think about lightning, you're like, that's way off in the distance, I'm fine. You're not worried about it. So just imagine a part of the woods that's way off in the distance, miles away, and no one's around it, and you just real quick lightning bolt, and then boom, you got a fire started.
Is it happening in the brightest portion of the day, 2, 3 o'clock, and no one would know. You hear a thunderclap, and it's so bright outside, you're not going to see a thunderbolt or a ray of light hitting something. Because that also will dispel the theory that there's people trying to say that lightning can come from the ground up and not just the sky.
Yeah.
And they're trying to base that off of how when lightning does strike and it's hitting a certain earthen material, that it's a certain heat wavelength where it turns that item into glass. The dirt, the soil, sand. Well, sand we know is made out of silica.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, it's definitely an interesting topic.
Strange stuff to get into.
Yeah, which, I mean, that'd be almost...
Well, I mean, the Maui thing, right, is supposed to be like certain wavelengths of light. We've already found it with technology and things years ago. So, like...
The blue roof stuff?
You have blue filter for your glasses, and it's supposed to filter out blue light from electronics in your devices. It's supposed to help you with longevity with sight. But it also blocks a certain band wavelength of the ultra ray light, which would be like basically the laser in your Blu-ray disc.
I've seen weird things online of people saying, "Oh, aliens hit us with a death ray, and people that have blue roofs on their house were fine." And
not aliens, definitely government.
I mean, we don't know 100%. So
it's definitely government.
Look, I ain't trying to have no SWAT teams coming through my window in the middle of the night taking me out. So we don't know for sure. But it's up to
government.
It's up to everybody who is watching to kind of decide on that one. But
well, I mean, the other theory is, do you like The Rock and do you like Oprah Winfrey or do you not? Do you like hedge funds? Do you not?
So that's a whole thing. I don't know if we should get into. But I definitely think that going back to kind of the lightning situation, there are times where, weather definitely has a lot to play with, but there's times where you can't really explain.
Why are you hearing a thunderclap and it's bright as heck outside?
Which, I mean, you have heat lightning and stuff like that too, but there are times where like nothing's happening and all of a sudden you have a thunderstorm or lightning and off the distance and you're like, that's weird.
Well, 9 times out of 10, lightning is being formed when two temperatures are meeting each other in the portion of our atmosphere where it's going to rain. It causes precipitation. And it's the heat and cold meeting in the middle. And that causes ionization in the air, which causes electricity, which causes the lightning. And it's usually in the same cloud that's got the precipitation for rain.
Yeah.
So now why are you hearing a thunderclap and or seeing lightning strike in the sky off in the distance or wherever, or close to you, let's say, but it's still bright as heck outside? When normally when it's supposed to be raining and the rain is causing the temperature change and temperature change makes the lightning, it also is darker outside.
Which I feel like talking about this, I want to go and research a whole bunch because it's been forever since I've been in science class and all that, and I couldn't tell you half of crap I was taught as a kid. So it's like
that's the shit I was
obsessed with. Go back and relearn.
I still watch it.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool to go through that kind of stuff and relearn and learn the new stuff that's happening. How the world's changing.
If you want to get
like
up here into my theory about most of it, especially with the alien stuff, is sleep paralysis. Google Chuck Meisler. He's a Christian scientist who can prove the theory that aliens are demons and why. And why they're interdimensional and not extraterrestrial.
Might have to
extraterrestrial means they're on another planet in a distant system from us.
Might have to send me that so I can look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we were saying, any of the phenomenon, because we don't want to keep going for way too long.
No.
If you want to hear any more about it, if you want us to do a whole episode on it, because we'd love to get more into the cryptid and phenomenon and stuff like that. And I know we've been kind of slow on our content. We apologize for that. We are trying to rush and get back
family
stuff
stuff, jobs.
That's
life.
We'll just life. Let's just say that. But one thing we wanted to bring up before we end our podcast tonight is
movie poll.
Movie poll, yeah. So we did. So I'll go kind of back for people who haven't seen it yet. There's always a running joke with me, which is weird because I'm a very big movie guy. I love movies, I love TV show, I love comics, the whole 9 yards. But there's always a joke of people bringing up movies, and I always say, never seen that.
Right.
And everybody makes fun of me for movies I haven't seen. So we started doing a thing to where horror-specific movies, because of our channel. He's a big horror movie fanatic.
Well, I mean, I used to work at a place to let you rent 15 movies a week.
Blockbuster, yeah. And I worked at Movie Stop, so we both worked at movie places.
Yeah, but he didn't want to watch his. I watched mine.
Yeah, well, no, I've watched a bunch. But anyway, so the point is, horror-specific I have not seen as much as most people have. Things like Friday the 13th. I'm like, all right, I've seen the first one, haven't seen the other million.
You need to see all of them. They're all highly connected.
Yeah, but anyway, so the first movie that we did, which is the last video, was The Purge, which we put a poll on our Facebook group, and basically I think people just kept adding movies on there, which got up to like 8 different movies. So somehow The Purge got picked. We watched that, reviewed it. It is brand new for me, but what we started doing is I went out and actually started buying Blu-rays of movies that he has maybe have seen or has not seen, and we are going to pick 4, make a poll on our Facebook group. So if you're not on there yet, Shadowsabound on Facebook, you'll find us. I'll be putting that poll up hopefully the following day of this video coming out, and with that, the 4 movies, and I've got them right here actually. So he's seen most of them. There's one I picked out that him and I have not seen. Let's see. And I'll just get the first one out the way. Which is the biggest.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick.
The Shining.
Yeah.
Which I don't know.
Jack Nicholson, The Shining.
I don't know why I'm a big I'm
family.
A big Jack Nicholson fan, but I've never seen The Shining. So don't shoot me. If you pick it, then I will have seen it.
His physicality comes out.
Yeah, and he's told me a lot about it. I've seen a lot of it online, but I've never watched the movie.
It's a famous place to go to. That's supposed to be haunted.
That haunted hotel.
It has a whole phenomenon behind it.
And the main reason, by the way, we're doing Blu-rays and not just throwing whatever on there is because it's a lot easier to already have the movies, and it's quicker to process and get through it, and also like adding to my movies. So the second one is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That is going to be the second movie option.
Classic.
I know it's classic, and I've seen very little bit on TV, and I can't tell you or remember anything about it. The third one, which he's been bugging me to watch, is Hereditary.
Really good.
Which he says is really good. So, and a lot of people said it's pretty scary.
So it's related to some stuff out of the 13 chapters of Solomon's Book of Magic.
Gotcha. And then the movie that him and I have both not seen before, and I picked it out because it's a Nicolas Cage movie. I don't know anything about it.
No, neither do I.
Which is fine enough with me to watch it. So, but it is called Color Out of Space. I haven't even opened it. It's still in plastic wrapping. But it looks like something about a meteorite hitting a family farm, and they find themselves battling a mutant extraterrestrial organism, which is kind of right up our alley, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It affects people's minds, bodies, transform them to some crazy nightmares and some crazy stuff that's related about H.P. Lovecraft short stories. So those are the 4 movies that we.
And this is the original, redone for Blu-ray. That's why I'm looking at this so hard in the back here.
Yeah. So I picked that out because I found it and it was pretty cheap.
There's also like a reboot from like '98.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
It wasn't as good.
Let me see it real quick though. So just run down one more time. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Color Out of Space,
Hereditary,
and
The Shining.
So I'm gonna, after we get this podcast video edited and put out, I'll put on the Facebook group the poll the very next day, so it gives people time to watch the video and then go on there. But Shadows Abound is a Facebook group, and closer to October 13th to 15th, we'll be putting out information about the Richmond Nightmare Weekend.
Yep. NightmareCon.
Gonna be awesome. So basically, it is the sister of the GalaxyCon type thing. So the GalaxyCon is sometime in the spring. I can't remember. I think it's March or May, something like that, or in between that time.
Yeah.
But this is the horror version of it that they're having in October. So it's kind of newer. There's gonna be some other groups that are showing up. I don't know any of them except for Ryan Jones, who does the freaking awesome Paranormal podcast, which he invited us on.
The House on 360 or whatever, too.
Yep, he is one of the people that owns the cabin on 360, I believe, in Mechanicsville, which is a haunted cabin, which we would love to go investigate, and we need to hit him up about that soon. But he's an awesome guy. He does give other paranormal groups interviews and kind of talks and meets and greets with them and stuff like that. So, really cool guy, but he's going to be there as well. I think Saturday we're either going on before him or after him. So if you are in Richmond or in Virginia or anywhere and you're going there and you want to see us, come hang out with us Saturday 2 o'clock and then Sunday at 3 o'clock. I believe it'll be the Richmond Greater Convention Center. We'll be in some of the rooms, I believe. They have like big gigantic rooms that fit like up to 100 people or something. I think we'll be there, but we don't know for sure. But if you want to come check us out, meet us, ask us some questions or just want to chit chat with us, we'll be there, and we're more than happy to do that. Friday, we get to walk around and explore.
Talk to people, look at stuff, buy stuff maybe.
I'm going to try not to buy a bunch, but there's going to be some cool stuff there. I just want to meet Danny Trejo.
Yeah, me too.
That's the biggest thing.
I mean, they showed on the website the guy that plays young Elliot in E.T.
And the dude from The Shining.
Yeah.
The guy that played the boy.
Yeah.
Danny, you said his name is?
Yeah, Danny Torrance in the show.
He is going to be there as well.
He did the Red Rum. Hello, Mrs. Torrance. Red Rum is backwards for murder.
Yep. But yeah, he's going to be there. I think, what's that dude's name from It? The original It. Reed, I think his name is. I can't remember his name, but he'll be there too. A bunch of different cosplay people. They have like a
What part did he play in the original It?
it was one of the kids. I can't remember. I'm trying to picture his name.
He's not the one with the birthmark on his cheek, is it?
No.
Because he's John Boy from fucking, what's that other show?
I'm trying to remember his name.
My mom watched that show religiously.
Now, I have seen It.
He plays John Boy on this famous TV show. The Waltons. Thank you, Mom. Shout out to my mom.
But no, there's going to be some cool people there. And then they're doing after-hour stuff, too. So if you haven't got your ticket yet, just look up GalaxyCon Richmond Nightmare Weekend on Facebook and or Google. And
there's also a post for Facebook of it. It's NightmareCon.
Yeah. So
Richmond Convention Center.
It's going to be fun. We're totally stoked and excited. It's definitely a blessing for us because we get to meet new people. And we're happy to meet anybody that is a normal viewer of ours or a subscriber and wants to come and hang out with us and chit chat and stuff. Be more than happy to hang out with you for a little bit. Except Friday, we're going to be walking around and trying to meet as much people as we can and network and buy cool stuff.
Get the lay of the land.
Hopefully meet Danny Trejo.
Get him to sponsor our show.
I just want to be like, hey man, say machete. Machete.
Just once. And then once. Can we get you in an Expendables?
That'd be cool.
We need you in an Expendables.
Yeah. That would be dope, man.
Or who's your favorite superhero and why? Can we get you to play that superhero?
Is he in Marvel for anything?
No. I'd love to see him in there, though. Matter of fact, in DC, he could have been Lobo. Like...
He would have been a cool, like... You know, like the first Ghost Rider movie? How they had Sam Elliott there?
Yeah.
What if they had, like, a different variant of him?
Well, there is this...
From, like, the Spaniard... what is it? What do you call it? I can't. My brain just shot.
Spanish. Just say Spanish.
The Spanish...
Era.
Inquisition. There we go. Dang. Something like that. Somewhere around that area.
Well, no.
So you had him riding around on a horse.
So, like...
That'd be cool.
He's a Tombstone character, right? That famous town of outlaws in the cowboy era. He's the perfect outlaw. I mean, Sam Elliott's the perfect cowboy, but Danny Trejo's the perfect outlaw. So that's why he's got that specific character he has in From Dawn Till Dusk.
Yeah.
So
well, he's done a lot of the same stuff in different movies, and then he's also, I mean, he's
matter
very...
of fact, I mean, I could see him
he's able to branch out and do a lot of stuff.
I could see him killing zombies riding next to Norman Reedus. They both have different variations of a survival bike.
I'm just saying it'd be cool to see him as, like, a version of Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
How badass that would be.
So, like, the last version, he gets a Dodge Charger on the TV show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I forget the version.
Danny Trejo?
No, he's this version of the Ghost Rider.
Okay.
He gets a Dodge Charger instead of a bike. I forget his character's name, and they make the skull on his face look metal instead of the classic that we get with Nicolas Cage, who should have just been Norman Reedus then, or Keanu Reeves then. Because those are my top two for Ghost Rider. I like Ghost Rider. I have him. I like him enough to have him as a tattoo on my leg. So.
I thought Nicolas Cage did.
He did a good job.
A decent job.
It's just. Even at that time, Norman Reedus did the second Boondock Saints, and he would have been a better.
I think what I liked about Nicolas Cage is that he could bring out the craziness of the transformation. Like, it was really cool how they did that. But I feel like the embodiment of it was more kind of what you're saying, like Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, Danny Trejo could do a lot of cool different stuff, and I think
there's different versions of the Spirit of Vengeance.
Because I'm just trying to think of what would be a cool Marvel character for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
But that would take us forever. So.
Well, so there's also like through the information of X-Men, they always did that series in the animation Savage Land. There was a Savage Land Punisher, Savage Land Ghost Rider. He could be a variation of one of those.
It's true.
Then you have every hero and anti-villain that have been 2099'd. You know, you have 2099 Spider-Man, 2099 Punisher, 2099 Hulk. And you can do it with one of them for him.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. But then again, on the DC side, Lobo. He's like an alien.
Do you think he'd be too old for that role right now?
Hell no.
Lobo's like nuts.
Look at how Lobo is. His character is like 600-700 years old because it's an alien that's an outlaw bounty hunter on a
they kept talking about bike. Jason Momoa being Lobo.
That's because of how he looks, and you see him act in Fast X.
We haven't watched it yet.
Hell no. I've seen enough of the trailers to wait 2 more days to see it free on Paramount and Max.
It was all right. But anyway, so let's not get off on a tangent. Because
I can do that.
Yeah, if it's Marvel DC, we'll be here for days. So kind of going back, we're going to be at the Richmond Nightmare Weekend Festival, convention, whatever you want to call it. Definitely come out and hang out with us if you're going out there and checking it out. We'll be doing our show Saturday at 2, Sunday at 3, and then Friday we were just hanging out. We've been invited the whole weekend, so it's going to be awesome.
Richmond Convention Center, Nightmare Con.
13th to the 15th.
Shadowsabound group on Facebook.
Yep.
Nightmare Con on Facebook.
Yep. Also, we're going to post more information coming up. Don't forget the movie poll. I will be putting that out the day after this video hits YouTube, so you guys can choose.
Please say Shining. Please say Hereditary.
They're all good movies from what I've heard. So,
but out of that 4, that's the top 2. So,
but yeah, if you want to hang out with us, and like I said, we're going to be talking about how to get into paranormal investigating Saturday, and then Sunday we're going to be talking about cryptids, lore, Virginia, and kind of places where to go. So, giving you guys a bunch of information, which we've been gaining the experience of doing this stuff ourselves. So come hang out with us. We're trying to go meet Danny Trejo, or Tony Todd, Mr. Candyman, or anybody else. So. But we will see y'all on the next one, and we look forward to it.
See you on the flip side.
Bye.